Look at you.
Look
You
at
got that
Chloe.
shit on.
Look at this. Hold on.
Look at you. Dang.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know this beat, it's your girl Kyra B coming at you for a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 12, the wedding episode, and let's get right into the video. So in today's episode, we basically going to break it up in between Jimmy and Chelsea, Clay and AD, and Amy and Johnny. So first, we pick back off where we left off with Jimmy and Chelsea having their final date, where Jimmy asked Chelsea, do you see yourself having an answer, at the altar? Like, what do you see yourself saying? Da 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 da. We proceed to tell Chelsea that he loves Chelsea. He found his person in Chelsea. He's grateful for this experiment, this, that, and the third. And he asked Chelsea this question, like, do you see yourself having an answer? So Chelsea, explains, and she's like, you know what? Despite everything that we've been through, whatever, I feel like I do see myself marrying you. So then Jimmy says, you know what? I don't see myself going to that altar. Like, I can't see myself going to that altar. So he says, like, everything that she threw up in my face, I told you something in confidence, and I told you not to bring that on camera, and you bring that on camera. Like, there was a lot of, there's like 6-7 arguments that we had, probably brought me to the decision that she's feeling very blindsided by this because, 2 weeks after the argument, they're on their final date, which is probably one of the best dates and best days that they have together as a couple. So she's very blindsided by his decision to not go to the altar to marry her. So she's just like, you're wasting my time, this and this and that, da 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 da. And then Jimmy proceeds to tell her, you know what? They have an argument back and forth. Like, why couldn't you, fought for this relationship? This is what a marriage is about. And he just like, keep continuing on, like, making myself, making me feel glad that I made this decision. Like, that's what he's saying, like, proving my decision right to not go to the altar with you. And I feel like Jimmy was right and also wrong for doing that. I feel like the argument that they had 2 weeks ago when he said that they were done, he should have just left it at that. Basically break up with Chelsea and basically say, like, yeah, I don't see myself marrying you. I feel like that's where the blind side comes into play, because it's just like, besides that fight, what happened? But then again, people say no at the altar, go all the way up to the altar and say no at the altar for things that they could have said before they get to the altar. So he was right for not wasting her time and bringing her family members out to the wedding just to say no in her face. But you know what? I guess he tried his best in the past 2 weeks, and he just, in long term, I don't see myself being married to you. I do love you, but no. So he says no, and she's upset, and she walks off, and that was basically the end of Jimmy and Chelsea. So it is what it is, I feel like between Chelsea and Jimmy's relationship, Chelsea was the one kind of, teetering that relationship to even work. And I guess, Jimmy tried, and I guess he just had enough of trying. But I just feel like, after having a good day, she's blindsided with the fact that, you don't want to marry her, because that was the whole point of this whole process in begin with. So that we're down to 2 couples at the wedding. Two couples. So we go to Clay. Well, before we even get to that, basically we're down to 2 couples. So Amy and AD, they go to their bachelorette party. They meet their friends and family members, while Clay and Johnny have their bachelor's party, and they have their time and whatnot. Then we have Clay basically saying some attributes of why he loves AD in his relationship, which he doesn't really go into depth of why he likes AD as a person. So it's just that, AD fights for him. Like, what are we going at here? AD fights for you? what do you like as a person in AD? Why did you choose her in the pods? Besides her fighting for you, is there anything else that you like about AD without seeing her? Like, this is a whole Love is Blind situation. Anyways, we get to Clay and AD's wedding. You know, AD shows up. You know, her mom, her sisters are there, her nieces. You know, they're just like meeting and happy for AD. You know, AD saying that she's one of 7 children, you know, finally getting to the altar and having a wedding day, you know, potentially getting married today. We see Clay's father, Clay's brothers show up, you know, Clay's mother. Clay have a talk with his father, which is just like, okay, you can see where Clay's characteristics come from. He basically, again, talks about, you know, he loves about AD is that she fights for him, you know, her patience for him, this and that, for him, da-da-da-da. He changed because of her, da-da-da-da-da. So, anyways, you know, they get ready for the marriage, they get ready for the wedding, da-da-da-da. Everybody goes down the aisle. AD walks down, she's a bit nervous, she gets to the altar. And, you know, Clay, you know, says, oh, you got that stuff on, you know, okay body, da-da-da-da, dapping her up. Then he, you know, later on says that, you know, you look beautiful. You know, Clay's nervous, AD's nervous, they're really giggly at the altar, you know. They talk about their, you know, dynamic as a couple, that, you know, AD basically, they can be goofy with each other, talk about real things, da-da-da, they can really connect together, da-da-da-da. They're very cheesy at the altar, which seemed like, okay, if you're really cheesy at the altar, maybe, you know, it's definitely going to be a good wedding. So AD goes first, you know, do you take Clay as your husband, you know, do death do your part, you know, in sickness and health, da-da-da-da. She says, I do. Then Clay is like, yeah, I love you, AD, I love you. And, you know, this was the best, you know, whatever, you know, decision that he's made, da-da-da-da, you know, experience, whatever. And then he says, you know what, it would just be irresponsible for me to say I do. So I can't say I do right now because I'm not 100% sure that I can be your husband. You deserve the best. So AD is like, she's discombobulated. She is shocked beyond belief. She just like, after all this cheesing, giggliness, all that stuff that you were doing in her face, you turn around and be like, yeah, I'm not 100%. Nah, I can't do this. I can't. So she like turns to her mom. She turns to her mom. Basically, it's like, you know, yeah, let's go.
So very welcome. Thank you.
Clay's mother gives her a hug. They walk off, and, you know, her bridesmaids and her, you know, bridesmaids in order, they walk off with her. AD's crying. She's shocked that Clay would do this. Clay's just like, you know, I can't give her 100%. Like, I don't think I'm ready to be a husband, da-da-da-da, this, that, and the third. So he's like, you know, he feels confident in his decision. Like, he just feels like he made the right decision of not marrying her right now. Then he asked her at the altar, like, what does a timeline have to do? What does a timeline have to do? You know, in this decision, in this process, you only have less than 2 months to find your partner, get engaged, and marry your partner. You knew what you signed up for, so I don't know why you're saying, why does a timeline matter? The timeline matters because at the end of this timeline, you expect somebody to have a happily ever after. Like, that's why the timeline matters. If the timeline doesn't matter, then don't sign up for the timeline. Like, what are you doing, Clay? Anyways, AD's crying, you know. She just like, you know, saying why is she never enough? Like, she tries her hardest, da-da-da-da-da. Why she's never enough, crying, she needed a moment, you know, her family is supporting her, just saying like, you know what, you're enough. Clay wasn't enough. You know what, Clay wasn't enough. He wasn't enough, but you're enough. And, you know, giving her the confidence and like speaking life into her while she is very upset about this situation. So then, Clay is speaking to his father and he's speaking to his mom, and, it's just like, obviously they're going to support their son in that decision. His mother basically said, you shouldn't have felt forced to say I do. Like, before you get to an altar, you should know 100% that you're ready to do that. Don't get to the altar and then say, oh, you're not 100%. Like, you shouldn't have feel forced to even step to the altar. You should have basically told her before, like, you know what, just like how Jimmy told Chelsea, I can't go to the altar knowing I'm not 100% with you. So he asked his father, should I go talk to AD? And, he's just like, you know what, yeah, you can talk to her if you want to, whatever. So he talks to AD. AD's crying. And he was just like, AD's just like, why did you do this? Like, he's like, oh, are you okay? Da, da, da. He's basically thinking like he can say no at the altar, but still date AD in, after the fact. So AD's like, no. But then he proceeds to, hug AD. He like, you say, I'm sorry, whatever, apologize for seeing AD cry and like having AD cry. He asked AD for a hug.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Can I get a hug? I'm sorry. Totally true.
After you did her dirty, you ask her for a hug. He kissing up on AD and this and that. And I'm just like, you just embarrassed her in front of her entire family and said no at the altar because you weren't 100% ready, but you hugging and kissing her like everything's all right, everything's good, everything's kosher. But so he basically thinking, he's like, doesn't have to change anything. I'm not gonna leave you, AD. Da, 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 I'm not gonna leave you.
What am I supposed to do now?
What do you mean we're supposed to do now? You think I'm leaving? What are you supposed to do? I guess you gotta run away from me.
But it is like, you said no at the altar. What are you not grasping? AD expected to get married. She didn't expect to just date. This is not a dating show. This is a show that ends in marriage. So why do you expect AD to be all happy-go-lucky, feel all fine in that decision that you made to not say I do? So he had his little confessional, and in his confessional he said that, he didn't feel 100% that he could be a husband. He didn't feel 100% in AD's finances. Like, what do you mean by that? You don't know about AD's finances? Like, what did you talk about when you were with AD? Like, you didn't talk about finances? And then he said he doesn't feel 100% that he's really, truly, deeply in love when he did this little, his little confessional at the end. But I'm just like, you expected to date AD after this? After you told her no and like, I have to work on myself and get therapy? That is true. You have to work on yourself and get therapy. But you just played in her face and you thought everything was going to be kosher. You should have told her that before you stepped foot at the altar. And the funny thing is that you and AD had this conversation about timelines and this and that. AD said, if you say no to me at the altar, I do not see myself dating you. I do not want to be a longtime fiance, da 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 da. She told you point blank before this whole situation happened. And look what you did. You turned around and did something that she told you she does not want to do. And she wasn't going to have it if you say no at the altar. Now you confuse, you befundle, you whatever, bamboozle, like, oh my gosh, I didn't think that was going to have that much, reaction for me to say no. Like, bro, be all the way for real. And the thing is, I'm not even, too upset with Clay, because Clay been telling you from jump, from time, these red flags. He basically talking about cheating is hereditary, it's generational, his father done it, da 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 da. He been telling you from time that, that's his biggest worry with the relationship with AD, that he feels like he might cheat on her or whatever, this and that. And he been telling AD this from time, from their honeymoon. He's been telling AD this. So I don't know why this is a big shock to AD, because AD should have known that he probably would have pulled something like this. Like, I don't know why it's a big surprise. And, you know, maybe he thought he could have overcome it in the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks or whatever. But no, he been telling you these red flags and avoided it or whatever. And the thing is that you wanted from time to be a fixer-upper, how to make a better man edition from time since the pods. So you knew what you signed yourself up for. So, like, it's not like a big blind side. You knew Clay needed some help. He needed some, you know, therapy. He needed some whatever. You know what I'm saying? You knew. It wasn't like you didn't know. You knew. So you can't really feel 100% upset about the whole situation, but he did play in your face and then expected to, you know, have a relationship with you after the fact. And the thing is that, spoiler alert, because there's a video circling around with Clay and AD still being in contact together after the wedding. And I'm just like, if you let a man kiss up on you after he said he wasn't gonna marry you, yeah, it wasn't hard to believe that you still would have went back to him in some time, shape, or fashion. So I wasn't surprised by that. Even without that spoiler, it was just like, yeah, give it a time or a day. He probably would have apologized again once more and basically say, like, I gotta work on myself and that can continue a relationship. And she probably would have taken back because she wanted to fight for him because he knew she would fight for him and fight for the relationship. So then after that, Clay's mother and his father have a conversation, and she just says, you know what, we both came from broken homes or, you know, broken parents and whatever, but we don't have to take that brokenness down, you know, down the line, down, you know, the situation. The reason why Clay was like that is because he's taking our divorce and what happened in our marriage with him to the altar.
I've always told you I forgave her. But there are things that had came out in the end that I did not know about until this experience. I was hurt. Again, I'm divorced from you, but things that he shared with me that I did not know. So that's why I'm saying he took a lot on his back. And although we came from broken families, that doesn't mean that we have to pass on that brokenness to our kids.
Absolutely. You stop the bleeding, stop the cycle.
Right. Your past and things that you witness is part of your DNA, it's part of your inside. If you don't get freaking help, you bring that shit into the next thing.
That's why he was acting like that, behaving like that, because he took, you know, our burden, whatever that happened in our marriage with him. You know, he was along with you while you were doing your infidelity, you know what I'm saying? And that stuck with him all the days of his life, that he doesn't even understand, you know, if a marriage should be sacred or if a marriage should, you know, act like his father, where, you know, his father had infidelity trips, that he took his son, I don't know what age he was, you know, Clay was at that time, but it was obviously young, and, you know, did this, that, and the third. You know, he can remember year 7 of the 25-year marriage that his father started cheating. So he witnessed those acts, and it's just like, he doesn't really understand, to him, you know, if a marriage should be sacred or, you know, things like that. So, you know, Clay's mother really spoke sense into his father, basically just like, you know what, we shouldn't continue this brokenness in our family. She just like, you know, despite your excuses, like, you know what, yeah, your father wasn't around, your father wasn't a great role model, but you know what, let's do better than your parents, do better than the ones before. And then she also said, you know what, because he was like, oh, you know, Clay should find a woman just like his mother.
I need somebody like you.
Huh?
I met you, you know, tell me need somebody like his mom.
Yeah, but you met me, but you wasn't good to me. Okay? So, we don't talk about that anymore, okay?
And she was like, well, yeah, you met me, but you didn't treat me right. So, you know what, that's the end of it. And you know what, she definitely probably have a lot more to say to Clay's father about everything that he did to her in the past 25 years of that relationship. But you know what, she's gonna keep it moving, and it is what it is. But you know what, it, like, that was really nice. People will try to like clown on Clay's mother because she talks about the relationship that she was in to know like she has experiences and advice to give to AD. But it's just like, you know what, anything can happen to anybody. Any of the bad things can happen to the best of them. So I mean, you try to clown Clay's mother for getting cheated on when it wasn't in her control, but she has great advice to give to AD. And just like how she just told, you know, Clay's father, you know, how to handle relationships and how to do things to not affect your children and stuff like that, you know, she gave great advice. Anyways, moving on, you know, Clay and AD did not get married, you know, but they're in real time. They're together in real time. Like, no need to keep this on eggshells. They're together in real time. Like, spoiler alert, they're together. But I'm just like, there was a lot of red flags. Clay gave AD. Clay been, I guess, himself from jump. He didn't put on no facade. He basically aired out his family about the whole cheating situation, and he basically told AD from jump that he's worried that he might cheat on her, and he don't know if he's gonna be a husband. So from then, you should have known, like, he might not be 100%. He might not be solid for you. Like, you might be rocking with him, but is he rocking with you? He might be 10 toes for him, but is he 10 toes for you? Like, let's like be all the way for real, AD. I really feel bad for her, but it's just like, there were signs. There was blaring red signs. So it's like, what to do with that? Anyways, we get to Amy and Johnny's wedding, and they were probably like the wholesome wedding of them. Like, you already knew the outcome. They got married. It was really nice to see, you know, Amy's father. Amy's father was very much the highlight of that wedding, you know, just being so happy for his daughter. It was just very nice to see, you know, a father really be there for his daughter and, you know, speak so highly of Amy and, you know, treat her like a princess and stuff like that. And, you know, glad to like welcome Johnny's family and into with open arms and stuff like that. It was very obvious from day one that, you know, when they get engaged, they were gonna get married, and they did get married. And it was just like, you know what? Congrats to the Cortez and McIntyre family.
So freaking much. Oh my god. So good. You look amazing.
And, you know, Amy and Johnny were the singular wedding, the singular marriage that happened. Just like last season, we only ended up with one marriage. Like, Love is Blind, what's going on? Out of five engagements, one marriage was the outcome. I mean, the only thing about this show that really kind of makes it what it is that they always feel happy or content with the fact that they did find love in the pods, and that's basically the goal, is to find love in the pods. And once you find love, you know love is blind. Now, will they say yes at the altar? That's to be foreseen. But to have one marriage to come out of this whole situation is just kind of sad. But I know they're happy. I know once they get a marriage out of this, I know they're happy. But you need to do better, Love is Blind. I know they're going to continue on season 7, season 8. And, you know, I'll be seated and tuned in. Definitely going to be seated for that reunion. But I already know Clay and AD are going to be together. So it is what it is. Now, we won't know what happened with Chelsea and Jimmy. What else would happen, I don't know. But it is what it is. That was episode 12, the weddings. And that's all I really gotta say. But anyway, guys, that was episode 12 of Love is Blind season 6. And if you like this video, like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns, and subscribe to my channel. Subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.